Good afternoon, and welcome back to Asgard, and welcome back to our Direwolf 20 1.10 Let's Play series. So, since last episode, we have towers. Not all the interior work is done. This one is actually lacking floors. I haven't put those in just yet. But I think the rest of these are pretty well set. I still have to do some accents and stuff like that. With the ceilings and some of the floors and little things like that, but for the most part, we're pretty well sorted on our actual structures, and I can begin working on the exterior a bit more. Basically setting it up for lighting and Britannia, and then working on some interior lighting, and then after that I'll work a bit with that whole structure and that whole thing. So anyways, let's go ahead. We're going to jump back into our reactor and get this up and going today. That is my goal. All of our manualing is sorted now. Oh yeah, I put the glass in here. I have to just bust this. So we'll go ahead and just finish out these manualing bits. Alright, that is now sorted. We have full manualing in all of this. I still have a few pieces left, but it did. We've used so much manualing for this. It's absolutely ridiculous. I don't remember the exact count on blocks, but it's a lot. If we take a look here, we don't have this up and running just yet, so we're going to get that plugged in, and then we're going to get our redstone sorted and our power being output, I think. So, I think what we're going to do next is, question is, do we want to... Oh, I have to finish this. This happens a lot because I have these anti-blocks, and sometimes I'll be building, with the builder's wand, and I won't notice. I'll be up here, for example, and I'll be building along, and I'll go, okay, well, that's done. And they'll be missing spots there. But I don't know if I want to do this with an ender chest or the actual AE. Let's see, right now we have 2.5 stacks of blocks. So quite a bit of yellorium. And I'll tell you what, this is simple enough. We're just going to use an ender chest. Yellorium is not something that I'm going to be utilizing in really any other places that, specifically come to mind. Aside from, crafting some pieces that require yellorium, that sort of thing, which, now that we have all this power, we can easily run our quarry pretty much non-stop. Which, realistically, you look at things like diamonds and stuff, we're good on this stuff right now. Copper, iron, all this stuff. I've ran the quarry a bit on and off as we have power for it. But honestly, there we go. I was like, wait, I can't find the iron, but it was the R. Sometimes if you're typing like here and you type iron, it messes up. So I'm not too concerned with just dumping it all into the reactor, or, dedicating most of it all to the reactor. So, because that's mainly where it's going to be going. Let me grab some yellow dye. I need to sort something out for this kind of stuff. Britannia. Once we get back into Britannia, we'll sort it out with that, actually. So, actually, now that I think about it, we are using yellow, yellow, yellow on that line. So, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to get just some lapis. Like 2 pieces. And we'll do like yellow, white, yellow, I guess. And let me get some conduits. We'll need just a few of these. And for right now, how do I want to do this? Tell you what, I want a compacting drawer, and I want just another ender chest would be great. Okay. I think what we're going to do is we are going to just plug up an ender chest like right here. That's fine. Like I said, this is really only going to be for use with yellorium. This is going to be a yellorium line. It's going to be blue, yellow, blue. And then what we'll do is we'll just plug up our item conduits. And we're going to go ahead and set up a filter, actually. And what I want to do is I want to set up the filter to only extract yellorium ingots. Because we don't want it to extract yellorium blocks. Not a whole lot of, call for that. So we're going to say you can extract that. You can insert our yellorium ingots. Will start going into there. And then let's just pop on over here. Oh, sounds like they're kicking on. I did turn the quarry back on for a minute, so that's probably why. And what we'll do is we'll set up our ender chest just right here. We'll say you are blue, yellow, blue. We'll go ahead and insert into this. Keep in mind that the green is the insert line. Blue is output. We've got a bit of yellorium built up there. You're going to extract. And then what we'll do is we'll set up another line here. This is going to be yellow, 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 which is, of course, our universal insert line for our reactor. And then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and say that you can extract, you can insert. Basically, that's going to take cyanide. And once we get our first bit of cyanide, I'm going to use this compacting drawer, which actually, now that I think about it, I do believe we have some cyanide in the system. I believe I made it accidentally before, because you can actually craft this with yellorium and sand, and I can't remember if I actually used it for anything, or if I just crafted it on accident, and was like, okay, whatever. So we're going to go ahead and set this. You'll notice this is all like nuclear materials. We have yellorium and uranium here, and we'll go ahead and put cyanide and add that to the mix, and we'll go ahead and lock that. There we go. So our cyanide, whenever it comes in, of course, it'll go straight over to this compacting drawer, and we can begin building up our cyanide stockpile, which we will. There will be a bit of use for that down the road. We have actually used up a little bit of cyanide, if I recall, for reactor piece. I can't remember what it was off the top of my head. No, maybe not. But we will, you'll notice we will be using it for the turbine rotor blades and stuff quite extensively. I was thinking there was a part of the reactor, but that may be a different pack with custom recipes or something like that. But you'll notice that this is our fuel. We are 100% full right now. That is due to the fact that our input is probably backing up now, which is great. That's what we want. Yeah, we have a full stack of yellorium in there. Basically, it will always keep an extra stack in here, and then it'll try to fill up the internal buffer for the reactor, and then it will fill up 64 here, and then of course we have a bunch in this ender chest. So now that that's sorted, let's go ahead and sort out our power. And what I want to do, let me see. Alright, I'll tell you what, we do have a power line right here, and we have a power line right here. Now, I don't know. Okay, that's over there. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're just going to bring our power lines down from here. And we're just going to plug them straight into the system. Because, of course, all of our power storage right now is, you know, down on the bottom floor. Those power lines do connect straight down into the bottom floor. So we may as well plug in directly into those. That would be fine. I may end up sprucing this up in the future. Power buildings, or power areas, I don't tend to worry too much about some power conduits running around because, you know, it is a power building. I feel like that's kind of the purpose of it, but I may end up, you know, covering these up a little bit. So I do apologize about the noise if it bothers any of you. I could put a sound muffler here if it, you know, bothers anybody. I don't tend to mind the sound of machines running in Minecraft. I quite like it, but I know not everybody shares that sentiment with me on that. Some people like quiet buildings with no cables and all of that, so I can adjust that if the preference is there. But anyways, that's plugged up now. And so now really the main thing that we have to adjust is going to be the redstone for this. Because when you're running a reactor, you don't want it to just run full throttle all the time, because you're going to end up wasting yellorium, because as a reactor heats up and everything, you know, having it at a high heat is ideal, but, you know, for power production. But whenever the power has nowhere to go, you don't really want to just sit there and just burn up yellorium and just waste it just to do it. There's really no point in just blowing through that stuff. So what we're going to do is adjust it so that it'll be intelligent enough that whenever it gets, you know, it gets the reactor itself starts getting filled up with power and stuff like that, we want it to kind of throttle down. We don't want to shut it completely off. Now, you can do that if you so desire, but generally I suggest against it because a reactor does have a small startup period whenever it first kicks on in order to, initiate the reaction and all of that stuff. So if you were to start and stop it, it's kind of like with Britannia. If you've ever played with the Elven Gateway Portal, you don't want to turn that on just every time you decide you want an item. You want to sustain that and keep it running. And it's kind of like that, except for, of course, we can actually reduce the cost of Yellorium by kind of throttling down the reaction so it's not running quite as hot. It's not burning up quite as much Yellorium. And so that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to automatically adjust that rate as it needs to. Alright, so first up we need to decide how we want to set up our control rods. So what we're going to do is, let's go ahead and pop up here. I'm going to show you how this is set up. Now we're going to be doing this automatically, but if you take a look at your reactor control rods, you click on here, you can actually name them if you so desire. I don't usually do that because I want all my control rods to adjust together, but I know some people get really elaborate with it and have different control rods adjust at different rates and all of that. I'm usually fairly straightforward because I found that it's fine. I don't feel the need to go just crazy in depth with it. But you can adjust your control rod insertion and adjust this. And the more that you have it inserted, the less Yellorium that's going to burn up. So if I was to set it, say 0, that would basically run it at the maximum heat, and it would burn up the most Yellorium, but would also produce the most power. Now you can see right here, change the control rod's insertion. Higher insertion slows reaction rate, which of course the lower reaction rate, the less energy that's being produced, the less heat, all that stuff. Lower reaction rates reduce heat, energy, radiation output, and fuel consumption. So you can adjust these up here if you want to. Now I don't do that. I leave them as is, and I do it all with redstone. And that's what we have, the reactor redstone port. Now I did go ahead and make a second one of these because it would actually be beneficial to us to have a second one. And I was thinking about it and I was like, oh yeah, I should probably make 2 of those. So we're going to go ahead and switch that out. We're going to have 2 of these here. And the first one, basically what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and select, I guess we'll do this on the top one, that's fine. We're going to say output energy amount. And so basically we're going to output a redstone signal when energy amount is above a certain amount. So we can also change it to active while below. It really just depends what you want to do. I'm going to go ahead and commit that. And then this bottom one, we'll get into setting that up in just a second. This bottom one, we're going to change control rod insertion. So we're going to say set from signal, and when it is getting a redstone signal, we're going to say, because keep in mind, what I'm going to do, actually, let me set this one up first. Sorry, I'm jumping around. We're going to say active while above. So basically it's going to emit a redstone signal when it's above a certain percentage of power. So we're going to say 80. When it's above 80%, yeah, when it's above 80%, it's going to output a signal. And so we're going to go ahead and hit commit. And so output redstone signal is going to come out when it's above 80% power. We're going to go ahead and run this down. And then we're going to say that this is going to be an input. See, this says output, this says input. Basically, this outputs a redstone signal. This one inputs a redstone signal. And we're going to set from signal. You can also do insert on pulse, but we're not going to do that. Set from signal. When it's getting a redstone signal, we're going to say that the control rod insertion is going to be 95. And by the way, this is the reactor planner. I just wanted to quickly show you this. So for example, if we build this out, I'm just using diamond blocks because, let me actually move away from that. I'm just using diamond blocks because it's about as close as I can get to Manulin. What is in essence Manulin. And so I've just set up my reactor here. It's an 11 by 11 by 6. That's interior size. This does set sizes based on interior because the exterior doesn't really matter. It's always going to be the same. It's just going to be casings. There's nothing too elaborate that would change your your results and everything. So what you can do is you can go here and you can adjust your control rod insertion. I usually play around with this to try to find efficient levels. So for example, the 95% that I was just talking about, that's usually a fairly safe bet. You're going to notice that it's barely using any millibuckets, and this is millibuckets of yellorium, so it would take a really long time to run through this stuff. You'll see that we're using 0.02 ingots per minute. So whenever it's throttled down at 95%, it's barely using anything. Now 100% is, in essence, it's pretty much off at that point. So we're going to say 95%. This seems to be fairly good. I mean, it's producing very mild power. You can see right here. The temperature is very, very low. The reaction rate's very, very low. And you can see that our efficiency here, 96,000 RF per millibucket. It does drop the efficiency a little bit because the 25%, you'll see at 25% we're running at 120,000 RF per millibucket. But like I said, I don't want to kick it on and off, on and off, on and off, and all of that. I just want to throttle it down whenever it needs to adjust. So that's what we're going to do. Let's go ahead and go with the 95%. And then when it's off, we're going to say 25%. That's, from my testing, that's the most efficient because, or that's my favorite. And the reason being is because 25% is going to set it at about 870 something degrees. And you want to keep your reactor, ideally, if you want very, very good efficiency, you want to keep your reactor heat below 900 degrees. Now, honestly, from what I understand, I believe the best efficiency is right around 700 degrees. Below that, it starts to fall off, and above that, it starts to fall off. But I tend to like pushing it on right around 900 because the efficiency variation from 700 degrees to 900 degrees is not a very large drop-off. You really, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, from 700 to 900, you might get an extra 1,000 or 2,000 RF per tick. I mean, RF per ingot. But it's really not a noticeable change. I mean, what is 1 or 2,000 RF, But the power production is greatly scaled up. So 900 degrees, right below 900 degrees, I'm fairly happy with. However, past 900 degrees, you're going to see a big waste on efficiency. And like I said, you can check all those values and stuff from the reactor planner. So for example, if I was to bump this up, I'd bump down the control rod insertion to say 20%, you'll notice that now it's burning at 922 degrees Celsius and our efficiency has dropped by quite a bit. So let's say 1,000 degrees Celsius, we've lost about 4,000 per millibucket of RF. So, I mean, even just the small change from 20% at 119,000, you'll see the temperature is over 900 degrees. We bump it up to 25%. We've jumped another 1,000 per millibucket. So it's not, in that situation, it's not so crazy. But let's say, we were to go for something really efficient, like within the 700 range. 697, that's great. 697, you can see that we're producing 19,000 RF per tick. Our efficiency is a bit better. We have 123,000 per millibucket. But if we drop it down, say, to the 25, we're up to 24,000 per tick, and we're still getting 120,000 per millibucket. So you kind of just have to play with it. Do you want a little bit more efficiency? Go for like around 700 degrees. Or do you want a little bit more power output? I'm gauging it more for the power output. So I'm going to go ahead and go for, right around the 900 range. Now keep in mind these values will be a little bit different. We may have to play around with it once we start it up because we are using Manualin, and of course we cannot test it. We cannot test Manualin within this reactor planner. And by the way, the 80% power, I just want to go over this real quick. The reason I have the output on 80% power is basically what that's going to do is it's going to output whenever this energy buffer, you'll see that there is 10 million RF storage within the energy buffer. When that's over 80%, it's going to throttle down that reaction. And the reason I do that at 80% is because that way we're still going to be producing power. Chances are 1700 RF per tick is not going to really affect the total all that much. So it's probably going to drop back down because we're probably going to be pulling more power than that. But that way we can kind of keep it around 80%. It's going to kick on and off, or increase and decrease the reaction and stuff like that. So now you could do something a little bit more elaborate with it. You could say when it's below, or when it's above 80%, kick off and then kick back on whenever it gets below 50%. That is an option with a little bit more redstone, just however you want to set it up. But anyways, let's go ahead and start it up. We're going to hit this green arrow here, and you'll see that all these numbers start to change. Now it is going to take a little while for things to adjust and get sorted, but you'll notice that this energy buffer is fairly quickly, it is rising. I do have double energy conduits pulling out energy, but it is going to take a bit. You'll see that these have turned green. That means they're running, they're outputting energy. But this thing is producing a ginormous amount of power. The casing heat, you can see the energy buffer's already gone up. You'll see right now the core heat and the casing heat just kicked off. Energy buffer has maxed. And so now it's going to slowly start draining. You'll see the heat is kind of dropping off. This thing does produce a ginormous amount of power, far more than we're going to be using for a while. But, I mean, right now, you'll see, I mean, it's actually setting fairly good at full right now, which is great. That's awesome. So our redstone is working. It has throttled down a bit, but I mean, with the amount of power, this thing just kicks on, it fills up, and then it throttles back down and kind of chills out. So, I mean, you can see the energy is dropping right now, so I'm not going to worry too much about changing up the amounts or the insertion rate, because right now it is slowly draining that power. And after a while, it's going to kick back on. It's going to say, okay, you're below 80%. We're going to kick this back on. We're going to adjust these rates. We're going to fill that energy buffer back up and then kick back off. Now this is slowly dropping, not very quickly, mind you. If we pop down here, you'll notice that our energy storage is setting good. I mean, it's full right now. I still need to work down here, kind of build up more energy storage and all that good stuff. But this is all setting full. So you can see all my dimensional transceivers and stuff. This, ugh, we don't even bother with that thing anymore. So yeah, our reactor is running. We have tons of power now. So realistically, for the reactor, the next step would be to take it to active cooled, get our turbines up and going, which really isn't going to be too bad. I do have some plans for that. We are going to need a bit of nether stars for it, but that's okay. I mean, one thing about this pack is Direwolf now has Draconic Evolution. You have Draconic Evolution. I mean, you can do it with RF tools or pretty much anything, but when you have Draconic Evolution, that is, you never have to worry about nether stars. I will say that this pack, not too long ago, actually got updated with the newer version of Draconic Evolution, which I'm super excited about, to include the, you know, the... Huh, I wonder why it brought me here. The teleporter's way down here, and it's like, okay, you're going to spawn on top of this. But it did get updated so that it has the Draconic Evolution power transfer, which in 1.7 it was great. In 1.10 it's no different. And honestly, I think in 1.10 it's even better. If you've been watching my Sky Factory series, you know that we've been using it extensively. I mean, that is our power transfer on Sky Factory. Nothing but. Absolutely love it. And, you know, we'll definitely be changing everything over to use that in this series as well, because it is hands down probably the best energy transfer. Because realistically, I could probably set a Draconic IO right here and have it connect to every building here with no cables. It's amazing. There are these lines that come out, but it doesn't bother me. I'll be honest with you, it really does not bother me when there's energy lines. because honestly I think they look kind of cool, and we'll have them kind of spreading out around to the different towers. I might even, yeah, honestly, I might even adjust it so that our power goes up here and then it kind of cascades down to the different towers. Maybe we'll have an IO here, sends power up to here, to maybe a capacitor bank, or we might even do our Draconic Evolution power storage multi-block in the next couple episodes and stick that inside of here instead. Have our Draconic Evolution power storage in here and then Draconic power cascading down to each of the towers, so that we have power ran to those. It would actually be really, really powerful, really, really effective, and I think could actually go well with our build, because we'd have that giant ball of energy inside of this giant ball, and then all these towers. I don't know. Honestly, I think that's what I'm going to do. I quite like that idea. So, but anyways, I do think it's about wrapping up point for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, be sure and let me know. I will say that I did forget to put the reactor planner in the description for last episode. I know I noticed it today whenever I was looking at, the video and stuff. I realized I forgot to add that in there, but I will add it in the description of this video because we did actually use it and go over it a little bit in this video. So, but if you do have any questions, as always, let me know, and I'll definitely do my best to help you out with that. I will say it's kind of hard to see the exact stats on this at the moment. You'll notice those generators have actually just totally kicked off at this point. It is kind of hard. Oh, we're actually about to see it kick back on and see what it does. There it goes. It's like, hey, we're going to make some power. Oh, we're going to kind of fall off. But you'll see that the heat's actually enough to kind of offset it. It's going to get back up to about 85%, and then it's going to start slowing back down. It's going to start dropping. And then here in a second, it's going to kick back on. And, of course, right now it's not actually running either of those biodiesel engines. So that's why the power is dropping a little bit quicker than it was. But realistically, I mean, it's still not even using a fifth of a millibucket per tick, whenever it's idling. But anyways, like I said, I'm going to end it here. If you guys enjoyed it, be sure and hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe if you're not already for more daily videos. I guess I should kind of sign off over here by our big monster of a reactor. And like I said, next episode, we're probably going to mess a little bit in Britannia because I do feel bad. We haven't really messed with magic all that much. As you guys probably know from my series, I'm generally more of a techie person. I do enjoy magic, but I think I just enjoy tech a bit more. But yeah, so we'll do a little bit of that next episode, get our Britannia, our whole setup readjusted and stuff. Maybe even do a little bit of automation with it and work on that just a little bit. But anyways, I hope to see you guys next time. Until then, as always, do take care, stay safe, and I will see you then.